Anadya vidya nirvacha karanopādhiruchyate upadhitritayadanyam atmanamavadharaye. Anadya vidya nirvacha karanopādhiruchyate upadhitritayadanyam atmanamavadharaye. Avidya, ignorance, which is anirvachya. Anirvachya means is indescribable, and anadi, beginningless, is known as causal body, karanopadhi. Upadhi is equipment, the body. Karana, it is the cause. So karanopadhi means the causal body. I'm trying to give the equivalent Sanskrit word so you can take a note and capture what those words mean. So the word anadi is beginningless. Anirvachya is indescribable. What is indescribable? Avidya. Why is it indescribable? Because it is beginningless, which is known as the causal body. And one should understand the Atman to be other than the three conditioning bodies, the upadhis. Upadhi tritayadanyam, other than the three conditioning bodies, atmanam avadharayet. Avadharayet means you must understand. It's not intellectual understanding. You must really come to terms with the fact that Atman has got nothing to do with the three conditioning bodies, the upadhis, which is the gross body, the subtle body, and the causal body. It can't be any more clear than this. You are not this, you are that. Okay, so this verse is talking about the causal body. The causal body is known as the Vasanas. Now, just before I get into the details of what the verse is saying, it is important at a flash. You should know what this word causal body or Vasanas and what its synonyms are. So the Shastras use different terms to convey the same thing. I repeat, different terms in different contexts to convey the same thing. Okay. Now, so Rishi, I'll come to you. If you have anything, if you can just put your thoughts on the chat box, I'll take it up. Okay. So the causal body is known as Vasanas. Now, why is it known as the causal body? Causal body because it is the cause for other two bodies. It causes other bodies. What are the other bodies? The subtle body and the gross body. What is subtle body? Subtle body consists of mind and intellect, which we went to the previous verse. The gross body is the physical body, which we went in the 12th verse. So what we are saying, Vasanas is the causal body, means from the Vasanas comes the mind and intellect and the physical body. So Vasanas is the cause, subtle body and gross body is the effect. Now, can somebody take an example? Okay, Badrinathji, can you take an example to explain this? Vasanas is the cause, subtle body is the effect, and gross body is effect. Can you explain that with an example? Firstly, if you follow, I believe you should have.
Pranam, you have put me into great difficulty.
No, no, not at all.
Cause and effect is, you want an example for cause and effect?
No, I want an example to explain how Vasana is the cause and how mind, intellect, and body are effects in that context.
Okay, now in any Janma, you're born with Vasanas. So
Correct.
therefore, it's a precondition for a janma.
Correct.
And once the janma occurs, you're born with both a gross body and a subtle body. You cannot have janma without these two bodies. Therefore, the precondition which causes a janma in the first. Otherwise, there won't be a janma. You will be a jivan mukta.
Correct.
Okay. So because you have vasanas, you have a janma, and once you have a janma, then you have to have these two bodies, the gross and subtle body. I'm just guessing.
Sound, very sound explanation. Yes, you need to have, so the vasanas express as subtle and gross bodies. But your subtle body is different to my subtle body. And obviously your physical body is different to mine. Now, how do you explain that subtle and gross are nothing but fructifications of your vasanas? I want an example there. Can you?
Your vasanas have been accumulated from the past, and
Don't go in that line at all.
okay.
Just take an example of one vasana and explain how that one vasana has expressed as thoughts and desires and actions and determines your gross body.
Let's say you have the vasana of a warrior. Then your gross body has to be fit for that task. That is, it has to be muscular in order to wage war, and therefore your subtle body, which is your mind and intellect, have to drive you towards conditioning the gross body to be muscular, which means that you have to have the discipline of exercise. You have to you have to eat the right kind of food. All those desires come from the mind. Okay. And so the mind drives the expression of that vasana.
Absolutely. So very clear. This is what I wanted. So if you have a vasana of a soldier or a warrior, you will have a thought of a soldier. You will have desire to be a soldier. You will have a body which befits a soldier. Fit, active, energetic, dynamic, isn't it?
Right.
As simple as that. Vasana fructifies as thought, as a desire and action. So thought, desire, and action are nothing but expression of your vasana.
Right.
Now, you have a vasana for philosophy. You entertain thoughts for philosophy. You have a desire to study philosophy. The action is, we're all sitting in a gathering of a philosophical discussion where the vasana for philosophy has fructified through the thoughts and desires with subtle body, and action as gross body. The environment is only an effect or expression of your vasanas. So what we are trying to establish is vasanas is that which actually start determining what your physical body is, what your thoughts are, what your emotions are. Everything is nothing but an expression of your causal body. As simple as that. It's simple when you understand the concept. That's what I mean. So it is you that determine your physical body. If I had no thought of health, if I have no vasana to be healthy, what will happen? How does vasana for, I don't have a vasana for healthy.
I will indulge in pleasures or activities which are detrimental to my health.
So your subtle body, your mind and intellect only entertains thoughts of indulgences, right, pleasures,
indolence,
indolence, and physical body also.
Yeah.
Is a direct physical body, and your environment is a direct reflection of your mind and vasanas. Remember that.
Right.
If your mind is clean, your environment is clean. If your mind is healthy, your body is healthy, your environment is healthy. And that is what we conclude by saying the world is a projection of your own mind. Your mind is that which projects and reflects the world that you live in. So it's your mind that creates It's the creator of the world. And it's created, what difference it makes in the world you live in is because of your mind. So what mind, and where does the mind get from? From the vasanas.
Right.
Isn't it? Now, all through my life, I don't know and my conscience has always been pricking, including this morning. Because I live very near to the army area, the AOC area, all my life we've lived here. And right from a very young age, I used to go into the army area for my exercising, running, jogging, or any form of exercise. And from a very young age, you have these security army guys guarding different posts, checkposts and things. And whenever they see me passing by, they keep saluting me. Including this morning, cycling, Harishji, me and Rajima, all three of us went to the interior army area where there's a beautiful golf course, the driving range, and we were cycling there. Whenever I drove past them, that fellow will salute me, thinking I'm an army guy. And I feel very bad because I don't deserve that salute. Because I'm not serving the country, because they are there to salute an army officer, and it is disrespectful if you don't salute an army officer. That fellow can be pulled up, isn't it? Harishji, am I right?
Yes, Guruji.
The Jawan can be pulled up for not honoring or saluting an officer to pass by. Now, and I feel very bad. Sometimes I want to tell him, man, Namaskar, Jawanji, I am not I'm not an army man. I don't deserve your salute. It's just that I'm perhaps seen as someone who is conscious of health, and I'm just little active. And so every time I pass by, it has been happening right throughout. And including this morning, I feel so bad. Harishji, we must do something about it. But if I say I'm not an army fellow, that fellow will not allow me there. He said, you can't enter,
Guruji, on a lighter note, there is this joke in the army that if anything is stationary, you paint it. And if it is moving, you salute it. So that is the principle which is being carried out. But the answer to that is that you respond by saluting him.
Yes.
So you stiffen, and that's the way an armyman salutes when his hands are otherwise occupied. So you stiffen and come to erect position,
correct,
even when you're cycling, and you say Jai Hind.
Yes. But I only want to seal that point, but he only salutes me, but not you. That is the point I want to convey here. So if you're receiving salute, is because of me, not independently.
Correct, Guruji.
Is that correct? No, because the reflection of the physical body is little different, isn't it? Gayatri ma, correct? Huh? No. We are not trying to. We are just trying to be very factual here. Correct, isn't it? Let's be very clear.
Yes, Guruji. It would have a relation to the physical body.
Not that I'm saying anything otherwise. Subramaniam ji.
Hari Om Guruji.
Yes, sir.
This satsang is really becoming very, very, I should say, enlivening and energetic. I would venture to say that Harish ji, sans his beard, would get definitely a very big salute, even compared to, because he's taller and he's got the gray hair. The army man could just figure this man as a retired general also. He might look at a service after him, he'll look at a retired army general, and then he would salute him with greater rigor. That's what I would say.
So now I think my
no offense to Harish ji.
No. So now my conscience is very clear. So I'm getting the salute because of him now, not because of me. So
right now it is you who is causing that. I would like to see whether that happens if Harish is minus the beard. Because generally, army men don't, a soldier down below, he might not have visualized a general, unless he's Sardarji, whatever it is, having beard and things like that. He would expect him to be clean shaven and things like that. That's his mental makeup. I was in the NCC and all, so I have a bit of
nice
experience that.
Yes. No. Very true. Very true. Really appreciate that, Maniji. So if anybody comes for the first time, they go, what is going on? You know? What is going on in this class? It doesn't make any sense. So hopefully some of us who are here regulars understand where we are going. So don't be offended. What is this fellow? This fellow keeps on talking all nonsense and non-related things. Causal body is known as Vasanas. It's called causal because it is responsible and goes about defining everything that you do in life. Your thoughts, your desires, your actions, your physical body, your environment, everything is controlled by the Vasana. So change the Vasana, everything down below changes. You get the thing? If the Vasana, if you want to transform your health, instill the thought of health, instantly your body becomes healthy. You want to become disciplined, instill the thought of discipline, everything in your life becomes discipline. So it is not outward in, it's inward out. So the subtle controls the gross. This is the principle you got to remember. So Vasana controls everything else. It controls your thoughts, desires, and actions and environment. Now my question is, just on other out of the context, but to very pertinent to establish. Now, what is it that controls the Vasanas? Vasanas controls your thoughts, desires, actions, every environment. Everything is a product of it. Then therefore we say you are a product of Vasanas. You are a slave of your Vasanas. If you say I'm a product or a slave, that means it doesn't give us the freedom to do anything to it. Isn't it? I'm a slave. If I have sensual vasanas, I'm a sensualist. If I have a spiritual vasanas, I'm a spiritualist. If I have business vasanas, I'm a businessman. So I don't have any freedom. So what is it that controls the vasanas?
Your conscience, and that gives you a certain free will to rise above your vasanas. And that is what determines.
Could you please repeat? We lost you for a little while. Could you repeat that, please?
I said we have a consciousness first of all, and then we have conscience also. And then, so we have a certain witness to our life which is separate from all this, and that has the capacity to change this whole inevitability of vasanas expressing this. So we can, for instance, rise above our vasanas if we choose to. So that will, we have the capacity to rise above, and this is what animals don't have. For instance, they will simply express their vasanas, which they are born with, whereas we have the equipment to rise above the vasanas, and therefore it's not. So we have a feedback control system. Okay, what we do feeds back to us, and we use our discrimination to decide whether what we are doing is right or wrong, what we are thinking is right or wrong, and therefore break this cycle of determinism, which apparently is there in this, from the causal body to the
gross body,
to the world outside.
To the world, right? So perfect, very true. In fact, you rightly said. Others also have rightly said. Gayatri Ma, Rajima, Tinki Ma, Jayama, they all have rightly said. It is the Purushartha. It is known as the free will. It is that independent factor, which is only independent factor other than the vasanas. If without the Purushartha, the intellect also is a slave of the vasanas. Remember this. So the Purushartha gives the freedom to the intellect. So the Purushartha functions through the intellect, whereby you can challenge a vasana. We have a choice of action. All right. I will not dwell on that further, but I believe this concept we have dealt before. It should be quite clear. All right. So first synonym, we said vasanas is known as the causal body. Vasanas, vasanas is also known as avidya, which is what the verse calls it. Vasanas are also avidya, which is ignorance. Now, why is vasanas called avidya or ignorance? Because moment there is vidya, there is no vasanas. Vidya is the state of realization. A state of realization is described as a state of vasanalessness. means a state when you have no vasanas, you experience a state of godhood, which is the experience of vidya, knowledge. So where there is vidya, where there is knowledge, there is no vasanas. Just like where there is light, there is no darkness. Similarly, where there is wisdom, there is no ignorance, there is no vasanas. So whenever they use the word ignorance, it means avidya, it means vasanas. Also, vasanas also means deep sleep. Vasanas means deep sleep. Now, why is vasanas called a deep sleep? I'm just pausing for a moment so that it makes you think. Another synonym for vasanas means is deep sleep. Sethuraman sir, explain sir. Solungo.
Vasanas are unmanifested desires. It is in deep sleep.
Vasanas are unmanifest desires.
So it is not manifested, so it is in sleep.
Correct. When the vasanas are not manifested, they are in sleep. So when you are in deep sleep, they are in their unmanifest form. That's the reason it's called deep sleep. Another name for vasanas is also known as a seed.
It's not yet sprouted.
Not yet sprouted, not yet manifested. So from the seed comes the sapling, which is thoughts, comes desires, the plant, the action is a tree. So vasana is the seed, the thought is the sapling, the desire is the plant, the tree which yields fruits is the action. Vasana, thought, desire, action, seed, sapling, plant, a tree.
So
Vasana, thought, desire, action. Yes, sir.
the seed, when it is burnt, it cannot sprout. Same way, vasanas are burnt, desires won't come.
Correct. When the seed is burnt, it loses its ability to germinate. It doesn't sprout. So when the vasanas is burnt with the knowledge of the self or the higher vidya, what would happen?
No desires. No.
Sorry?
Won't manifest. No desires.
Not no desires. The world has no charm for you. The world only charms you because you have a vasana, sir. Ilya. You know, you will be excited. I'm not being personally you. Anyone will be excited with the world only if they have a vasana. If I have burnt my vasana, the world will not enchant me. Why? Because I have burnt my vasanas and desires. And this is what Hanuman. What did Hanuman do first thing when he went to Lanka? Well, the first thing is in the context, please. Now, don't literally go by the story and say this is what he did first. In the context, what did Hanuman do to Lanka?
Burn.
Huh? Enama?
He burnt.
He burnt Lanka. Why? What does it symbolize?
He burnt their desires this time.
Okay, can you describe what Lanka is? What was Lanka? Don't say I have never been to Sri Lanka, Ji. How can you ask me about a place I have never been?
An island.
Now, we are asking in the context. Hanuman Ji burnt Lanka. In the context of burning the vasanas within. Now, when you burn the Vasanas, the world doesn't charm you. In that context, I said Hanumanji burnt Lanka. Now, my question is, what is your understanding of Lanka and why did Hanumanji have to burn Lanka? Okay, no problem. Vasantama, Shubhama wants to attempt. Yes, Shubhama.
It is, I think, burning the desire of King Ravana.
Burning the?
Lanka, burn Lanka means it is to get down the, desire of King Ravana who had abducted Sita, and he was quite selfish. That he wanted to Sita Adeno Solito, he wanted to he abducted her, kidnapped her. So Ravana oda garva ariyanu solitu Hanuman and the context la I felt he burnt Lanka and Ravana's garvam and ego came down.
In fact, it only infuriated Ravana because who is this monkey that coming and burnt my palace, burnt my kingdom? It did not burn his ego. It's only Lord Rama destroys the ego, which is the burning of the effigy, which we symbolize. Which Ravana's ego and the self destroys the ego. Then comes the union between Rama and Sita. So that's a different aspect of it.
As a messenger, Hanuman sent as a messenger through Ravana to burn the ego of Rama, to burn the ego of Ravana. Rama or a messenger, Hanuman was sent to signal him that destruction of Lanka has started.
Fair enough. Fair enough. I think you have a point there. Yes, but okay. I get what you're saying, Shubhama. Tinkima wants to say yes, ma.
So could Lanka symbolize the lower desires because Ravan was driven by the mind and his, wanting to take revenge and he wanted Sita. I want the pleasure, the mind, whatever. And if by burning the lower, you said, why would he burn it? Because by burning the lower desires, one can attain to the higher. Would that be the reason? I don't.
You're right. Okay, not wrong at all.
Okay.
There's little more to it. I would want to clarify, but you're not wrong at all. Yes, Maniji. I can't hear you, sir. Yes.
Guruji, I feel Lanka denotes the vulgar materialism. Everything that money can buy, the vulgar materialism. And burning of Lanka is just destruction of the vulgar materialism. That's what I understand it.
Correct. Ravana's life and his palace symbolized vulgarity of materiality and sensuality. It epitomized what is sensual indulgence.
Yeah.
When somebody worships wealth as if it is everything in life, and when one worships sensuality, sense indulgence as everything in life, then materiality and sensuality thrive.
Yes.
So it symbolizes the lowest of all gunas, the tamo guna, which is tamo guna and rajo guna, material acquisition and indulgence. As earlier you were saying, even bathrooms and toilets were made of pots of gold. There's gold everywhere. That is. So when somebody gross, very gross. So when somebody
crass, even crass, CRAS, crass.
Correct, crass. Yes. So when somebody leads an extravagant, indulgent life, they say Ravana's life paidalla. Ravana's comfort. So there is an analogy drawn. If someone is swayed by materiality and sensuality and worships them and regards them as everything in life, they say you're leading a Ravana's life. Ravana's life, vendapa. That doesn't mean you must punish yourself. Live yourself with comfort and convenience. But it should not be Ravana's comfort. So when Hanumanji went and burnt Lanka, it only messaged that it did not have a charm because he truly conquered the lower propensities within him. So Hanumanji was one who conquered the Vasanas within him. So the external materiality and sensuality did not charm Hanumanji. You and I will fall for materiality and sensuality. Hanumanji was so well grounded in the higher that because he had burnt his lower vasanas and desires, the materiality and sensuality did not charm him, which he beautifully conveyed by
burning.
He charred. When you char something, you don't burn the seed off. You just roast it, not burn it. He roasted the Lanka. He did not burn it to ashes. He just charred the whole of Lanka because it didn't charm him. Why did it not charm him? Because he has no value for it. So a person will worship or pursue something in life only when they have a value for it.
Yes. Guruji, one point which everybody knows, I would like to just reiterate.
Yes, sir.
In the homam, we offer seeds. And that is the offering of Dagda Bijaha. Whatever bija I have got, I am just burning it off. So when we do that homam, and then we are asked by the priest to offer, at the end of it, the rice grains and all the paddy, these things. So it's just to symbolize that I am here offering that to me, and then I would not like to have any of this fructifying later. So we should become a Dagda Bijaha, as it says in Sanskrit.
So beautiful, correct. So the flame shoots when the vasanas, the bijam burns.
Yes.
So the flame of the self shoots
yes.
up when the vasanas, the seed of the bijam, is burnt away.
Yes.
So beautiful, isn't it? Our culture is so
profound.
So profound.
Yes.
Correct, sir. So we all speaking the same vocabulary also, sir.
Thanks to you, Guruji.
No. It's thanks to the satsang. We all elevated to a certain wavelength. We are able to relate to every aspect.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yes.
Now, so just to quickly summarize or quickly mention all the synonyms so that you have captured it. Vasanas are known as the causal body. It is known as avidya, ignorance. It is known as deep sleep. It is known as the seed. It is known as bliss sheath. And lastly, it is known as non-apprehension of the reality. NA, the non-apprehension of the reality. Just write it down. Someday I'll explain what that means. If I get into it, I don't have the time. I don't mind getting into it. I don't have the time to explain what non-apprehension of the reality means. But non-apprehension means vasanas. From non-apprehension comes misapprehension, which is the world. You don't understand. Non-apprehension means Annapurnama, don't get confused. Non-apprehension means not understanding. Ignorance also means not understanding. Vasanas also means not understanding. So when you don't understand something, you mistake it to be something else. So because of avidya, we have not understood ourselves. We have not realized God. We have mistook the word, the Atman to be the plurality of the world. That is what it means. Okay, perfect, ma. So the 3 points you have to take down with reference to the verse. Ignorance, vasanas is avidya, ignorance, which I've explained. Second, he says, which is beginningless. Why is vasanas called beginningless? A simple example to that is you go back in the past, go back and back and back and back. You don't seem to know when did it all begin. Do you know when did it begin? When did the first vasana come? You do not know. So it's almost beginningless in a relative sense, not an absolute sense. Huh? Please be clear. Beginningless in a relative sense is vasanas, because we did not know when it started. Because I know I have a father. I know my father had a father. My grandfather had a father. So my great-great-grandfather had a father. So go back, great grandfather has a father, great grandfather has a father. Go back. How back you go? Pa, don't know, pa. Adda, beginningless. Don't know when it begin. So that's the kind of a layman's analogy of saying vasanas are beginningless. Now, second interpretation is the moment you say beginningless, you're talking of a concept of time. Isn't it? Now, time is born not in the first, but time is born in the second experience. There's no time in the first experience. Time is only born in the second experience. Now, vasanas are there in the very first experience. Therefore, it is beginningless. Therefore, it is beyond time. Oh, I don't have time to explain this. I'm very sorry. Vasanas existed, the very first experience existed before time. Time begins only at the second experience. Therefore, the unit of time is called second, not first. Everything is measured with seconds, isn't it? Why is it called the second, not the first? Because time is only born at the second experience, not the first experience. If it was born at the first experience, we would have called it first. But the unit of time is not first, it is second experience. Just like there is no distance at a point. Distance is between 2 points. Time is measured between 2 experiences. Distance is measured between 2 points. But vasanas existed before the second experience was born. Therefore, it is beyond time. It is beyond. It is beginningless. And the only other thing which existed before the time began is Atman. This definition is applicable to Atman itself. Atman also is available before the time began. The world is born with the second experience. The vasanas are there before the world began. Therefore, it is beginningless. I know it is going a little overboard. Let it sink in. We will come back to it if required. Okay, we'll come back to it. Now, thirdly, he says, this vasanas is also indescribable. Now, why is vasana indescribable? In order to describe something, what is it that is describable? You need to be able to perceive it, conceive it, experience it, isn't it? So you either experience it. If I say, can you please tell me your experience of your visit to the Taj Mahal? Oh, wow, it was a beautiful experience. Oh my God, it just baffled me how somebody could have that kind of an architecture. I've never believed those intricacies, that perfection, that precision. You almost lost for words, isn't it? Because it's so grand, so majestic, so beautiful. But yet you're able to experience it with perception. Therefore, you're able to describe it. Next, I ask you, can you describe your love to your guru, love to God, or how much you love your parents or your loved one? Can you please convey what is your love? Can you quantify it? Well, it becomes difficult to capture, but yet you have some ways and means you can convey emotion, don't you? You can convey emotion also through words because it can be captured, it can be experienced. You feel it. Now you're trying to convey an idea because you understand an idea, a thought. But vasana is beyond perception, emotion, thought. You can't see the vasana. You can't feel the vasana. You cannot understand the vasana also. Therefore, it is indescribable. It is beyond the body, mind, and intellect. Therefore, you don't have the equipments to perceive, feel, nor conceive. Vijayji, am I making sense?
There are more questions than answers, Guruji, right now.
No, I somehow sensed it in your expression, so I said, let me catch you.
I suppose one has to think over it for a while before coming with a sensible question even to you.
No. I think these, I really appreciate what you said. You need to just get this information first. You need to, sometimes it's too technical, or it could be too much for you to actually process it. I hope I'm not rushing you all through it. I will certainly revisit this section because I know it is challenging for those who don't have a sound fundamentals. When you have the fundamentals, if you get that through a lot of study of the Shastras, then you wouldn't take this long to understand the subject matter. That's the reason I'm just preparing you for further studies. That's why I gave all the synonyms of Vasanas. So when it comes elsewhere, you can quickly fall back. This is what Vasanas mean. Okay. Now, what we are saying is it is indescribable because description of something is only possible when you experience it. Now, you experience a perception, which is through the physical body, through the organs of perception. You experience emotion by the mind, feelings. You experience thoughts and ideas with the intellect. Vijayji, you have a body which perceives, mind which feels, intellect that conceives. All right? Now, Vasana is so subtle. Now, go back to the early explanation. We said Vasana is a causal body. It is the cause of your thought. It is the cause of your desire, the mind. It is the cause of your body. So if it is a cause, it is a very seed. It's too subtle. So the equipments which are gross, which are effects, have no capacity to understand, capture. It's too subtle. Therefore, they say it is indescribable. And this definition fits into the Vasanas and very much fits into the Atman. Atman also cannot be perceived by the body. You can't say, I have seen God, or I've heard some voice of God. You can't hear. There is no voice. Your organs are too gross to capture God through your ears or your eyes. Or you can't say, I smelled God somewhere. Funny smell you have got of God. I don't know. God will have a smell to it. Or you can't say, I just hugged God. I know I've told this before. I know of a very no instance. I've heard of a Swami who goes about saying he's delayed for the class. Like today, I was delayed 10 minutes for the class. And I come and he comes to the platform and says, I'm sorry, guys, I'm delayed because I was having breakfast with God. Breakfast with God? Oh my God. Everybody gets, he's creating an aura about himself. And I have a breakfast with God, one-to-one meeting with God. Therefore, I'm delayed. Don't worry, no worry. What did God say? Oh, he has given his love and concern to all of you all. So sweet of you. Therefore, you are a messenger of God. And then he all masala. No God can be perceived with the organs of perception. God is not an object of perception. God is not an object of emotion. God is not an object of thought. Similarly, Vasana is not an object of perception. Vasana is not an object of emotion. Vasana is not an object of thought. Therefore, indescribable. It is the very source of the intellect. Therefore, intellect cannot describe. Intellect is a product of Vasana. Therefore, intellect cannot define the Vasana. Full stop. Ramji is asking quickly, I'll comment on that. Does it mean that all Vasanas are bad and have to be burnt? Sir, Vasanas, philosophically, the Sanskrit word for Vasana. What's the Sanskrit word for Vasana? Anybody? Any idea, Harishji? What is the Sanskrit word for Vasana? Philosophically. Philosophically, how do the Shastras look upon a Vasana? Dukkham. No, it's not dukkham. Hey, vasanas cause dukkham, you can say. But philosophically, vasanas are described as mala. Mala means dirt. So the spiritual dirt in a human being is the vasanas. So the more vasanas and desires you have, the more dirt you have within. And it is this mala or dirt is the barrier between me and my godhood. The godhood is very much within me. And if I have to realize the presence of that reality, I need to eradicate the vasanas. So from the standpoint of the self, every vasana have to go. But from the standpoint of evolution, it is the good vasanas that replaces the bad vasanas. But at some stage, even these good vasanas have to go, so that it paves way for your own self-unfoldment or self-realization. Therefore, they say, man minus vasanas equals God. So you can't seek comfort in any vasana. Ultimately, all have to go. What is called Yoga Nidra? I'll have to get into it tonight and I'll explain next week. Padminima, we'll come back to that.
I thought it is a starting point before the first Vasana came.
What is this new term, Yoga Nidra, you're talking?
No.
Are you doing yoga and Nidra?
No.
There's one yoga I know of Nidra. It's called Shavasana. You go into Shavasana, you sleep nice. That is a very good yoga you can do. I do that.
No, we say that Vishnu is in that Yoga Nidra form before that it started, like the world was created. Everything is without any, it's, what shall I say, balanced system. So when it loses balance, only that it starts again. Something happens to set it right, like that. I don't know the physics.
Not really. Don't go by the parables and stories. Here we are talking of the philosophical message here. So the whole creation has come about because of the ignorance of God, as we say. Vasanas is ignorance. So that's what the text starts off by saying. The verse says it is ignorance that is the cause of everything. So poetically they could have conveyed something, but I would not bring that into the context now. Okay. Right. Okay. All right. I think we have clarified all the comments as well there. All right. So I will come back to it. There's more to clarify on this, and I know there could be a few question marks and doubts. Bring them along, and I'll be happy to take the questions so I understand where you all need clarification. So we'll take up the next class with your questions, and then I'll clarify further. All right? Yes, sir. Maniam, sir.
Before we close, Guruji, just to answer, not answer, just to give one small bit on what Padmiyamma mentioned. It's the Purana she's talking about. And the Puranic period succeeds the Vedic period. Vedic period is the period of absolutely no form and all that. That is how Vedavyasa, he gave us step by step and all that. Vedas, then for easier understanding for, the common people and all that. So there, of course, the Yoga Nidra is mentioned, Madhukaidaba coming out of, the Mala coming out of his ear. That is all story.
Yeah.
Like you said, the story has to lead us to the ultimate. You must go to the beginning, as you have brought it very beautifully in a very succinct manner. Thank you very much.
Yes, sir. Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om.